And we're back. On a Friday edition of Around 10, and we have a new guest, an old friend of the show. Miss Penny Peavler is here, and I guess in a new role for me. I don't know if you've been on since you've been with KCDC, but welcome in.
No, I haven't.
And,
I have a couple times.
Yeah, I think you probably have.
Yeah, I probably have.
But thanks for coming on this rainy Friday. And,
thanks for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's timely, right? Because you guys have an event coming up this weekend.
We do, yes. So we have formed, our four local governments have formed an organization called the Franklin Anderson Commerce and Technology District. Okay. And so this is formed by interlocal agreement. Mm-hmm. And we're inviting people to come out on Monday night from 4 to 7 at the KSU Research Farm to learn about a well-planned cooperative approach to creating jobs and preserving quality of life in our communities in the future. Mm-hmm. So this is a long-term play. This is a long-term plan to attract an employer of 1,000 to 1,500 jobs to Franklin County and Anderson County, and to work together to do that. So the legislature has provided money in the form of the Kentucky Product Development Initiative to allow communities to work together in a regional sense to attract companies to locate in Kentucky. Mm-hmm. So that's it's all about jobs.
Yeah. And when you talk about the four entities, you're talking about the city of Frankfort, the county, and then Anderson County and city of Lawrenceburg.
Okay. Exactly. And so together, we've been working together for 2 years to put this project together. It's a very iterative process, and we're really still at the beginning of it because there's a lot of due diligence that happens looking at site utilities and infrastructure, traffic counts, and those kinds of things. But it's a planned approach, right? It's a long-term planning exercise. And these are the kinds of things that happen when communities are competing to attract new employers to areas. You know, we just announced back in the spring we have NIDO coming into Franklin County. We'll have a ribbon cutting for that in July, which we'll be glad to have everybody come to. That's 220 new jobs. And so this is really the purpose of the economic development efforts of the city and county, is to bring job retention and job growth here. And KSU is our partner in this as well. And so KSU has a new engineering and advanced manufacturing technology school as a part of the College of Business, Engineering, and Computer Sciences. So they're a partner as well.
Okay. If people are planning to come, what should they expect?
Yes. So this is an open house. It's not a meeting. It's an open house. And so they can come to drop by from 4 to 7 on Monday, June 2nd. They can ask questions about the project. They can see a proposed map of the project site. They can learn about the economic development benefits, about steps that are taken to protect the environment. It's a responsible, planned development. And so I know there's a lot of unknowns, but we hope to be able to answer as many of people's questions as we can. People can learn about the industry subsectors that were identified in the Team Kentucky Economic Development Plan for Kentucky, and which ones of those we'll be going after for Franklin County. A couple months ago, I was here to talk about our strategic planning efforts in Franklin County. These are being led by Garner Economics, which is a national site selection firm based in Atlanta who works with companies and communities to bring jobs. And so they are helping us craft our Franklin County specific economic development strategic plan. So folks can learn a little bit about that. Some of the industries that have been identified are advanced manufacturing of all types, agri-technology, biotechnology, and life sciences. You know, we have a lot of bourbon in this area.
What?
We have, I know. So the focus is, can we cast a wide net and see, are there some other subsectors that would be great to attract? Because, you know, as the economy ebbs and flows and as climates change, we also have a lot of automotive and a lot of automotive supply. But so maybe there are some other industries that we might want to look at getting here so that we can stabilize that economic base and that jobs base. There's always fluctuation in the number of jobs in any community. Businesses open, they operate, they close, things change. That is simply a fact of life. And so what we have to be is thoughtful and well-planned in our approach to create and preserve our quality of life here, which is really what attracts people here. It is that quality of life.
Yeah.
So we've got to protect our agricultural resources. We've got to protect our environment, our valuable tourism resources. But we also can't put our head in the sand. We have to adapt for the future. So.
And maybe this is too far down the road, but
right.
You have the interlocal agreement, and so I don't know if you guys have a specific piece of property or land.
Yeah,
you're talking
so
about?
We have some option properties.
Okay.
And
is it in both counties, or
it's right now the option properties are in Franklin County.
Okay.
But there will be other properties. I would expect.
Okay.
I mean, I can't say there will be.
Yeah, sure.
I expect that there will be other properties, and the idea is that this is a multi-county project.
Right. It affects all the
So when the
folks.
legislature created this program, the Product Development Initiative. And in this case, the product is the site, right, where these factories and technological campuses, commerce campuses can be developed. The idea was to incentivize communities to work together because companies think regionally, and that's how we're organized in economic development.
Right. Yeah,
So,
and it's better than to have to fighting over. What I mean?
Exactly. Yeah,
Same.
we work together as a region. There are 9 counties in our region, and we all work together now to share leads and to work leads because we're all part of Team Kentucky, right? But we do have this special relationship with Anderson County, and so we'll be working real closely with them. And I do expect there to be land in both counties.
Okay.
Now, this is not a colossal amount of land. I think, people sometimes conflate a comprehensive land use plan, which we just went through, with this is a specific project, and the target will be about 300 to 350 acres. That will be the goal.
Okay.
The cabinet works with anything over 100 acres. That's kind of the minimum.
Okay.
So that's the acreage. This is not a project to bring 2,000 acres under roof. That's not the purpose or the intent of this project.
Is there a similar size site or target type that people could maybe
Yeah, I think
that's how it works.
They're in Shelby County. There are several different sites.
Okay.
Now, the one site that comes to mind for me in Shelby County is a distilling site. We already have large distillers, so again, we're going to look for some other subsectors to try to balance that economic plan. But there are some sites in Shelby County of about that size, modern buildings, concrete buildings, beautiful landscape, rolling hills around it, a lot of berming, a lot of farmland.
They look a lot different
around.
than what we kind of think of sometimes of what an industrial park with
That's
just
right.
concrete
they're not metal buildings with smokestacks because
Exactly.
that's not how manufacturing is done anymore. These are highly technological jobs. And so sometimes people will say to me, well, the robots are going to take over. And there are robots welding today at Topi, at Monoplast, but those computers are programmed by human beings.
Sure, yeah.
So the jobs are shifting. We may not be hand welding every weld, but there is a trained advanced manufacturing technologist or an engineer who's doing that programming and who's right there overseeing that, right? Yeah. So it's pretty interesting. And it's highly technological. A lot of specialized training and skills.
Yeah. So new jobs is always great, right?
That's right.
a big target. But then, I think an outcome is often funds, right? From payroll taxes or property taxes, things like that.
That's
that
right.
Can have a major impact.
Yeah.
On the
So
community.
city and county government in Franklin County, about 80% of our budget to provide city services, because we collect taxes and provide services for everybody. Yeah. That's occupational taxes.
Okay.
So that's a percentage that's taken out of your paycheck every time, and that is really what runs your city.
Okay.
And property taxes and insurance premium taxes, those are a much lower percentage of city budgets. And getting, in some cases, as we know, the barrel tax is rolling back. The Kentucky legislature is doing that. So there is an opportunity and a need here to make that up.
Yeah.
And you're simply never going to make it up in property taxes it just doesn't work that way, right? So this is an effort to work with the legislature, to work with the program that they've created, to work cooperatively. You know, we have a lot in common with Anderson County in the sense that people live and work in both communities.
Right, sure. Right.
And we have 850 housing starts in Franklin County right now. We have more houses, apartments, and townhomes under construction at all levels of the market than we've ever had in my adult life.
Yeah, that's
you
great.
know, and so that's the kind of thing that jobs spur. It's a little bit of a chicken and egg issue.
Yeah,
Right.
Do you get the jobs and then you get the housing, but
And then the people.
and then the people, right? So that's but it is. You're exactly right, Harvey. It really is about bringing investment in public funds to support our roads, schools, parks, public works, and other community resources.
I mean, I know. So I live in Midway, and there's
Lovely town.
It's a cute little town. We love our little.
Adorable.
We're very protective of our space.
Oh.
But there is an industrial park on the other side of the interstate that was empty for a long time, and it is now booming, and it has had a significant impact on the bottom line of the city of Midway that they could not support with where we were when it started.
And just to put a fine point on that, what we are doing in Franklin County is not creating an industrial park. We are actually putting together a planned industrial district. So we will not be building anything before they come, to use the
which
vernacular.
is way smarter than what they did.
Will be we are pursuing a rezone for a planned industrial district that says, yes, this is possible. The infrastructure is here. The utilities are here. Now, Team Kentucky, go out and market
See what
this
you can
site.
get, yeah.
And then the fiscal court ultimately has the say on who comes. And once it goes through a rezone for industrial, that's when it gets built. So this is not like in the 50s where they said, let's do a spec build.
Right.
No, because the company that's coming wants
They
to
wanna do
tell
their own
you,
thing.
here's
Right.
where I want my entrance on
Right.
127.
Right.
Here's I'm going to need a daycare on site. I'm
Right.
going to need these
Right.
things. And so we don't know those things.
Or this type of utility.
Or
right?
this
Like, I
type
need
of
this amount
utility. It might be a
electric
heavy,
or whatever, right, yeah.
heavy electric user. They might want solar. You know, there are 2 carbon neutral projects in the region. Because people want green energy. These companies are very environmentally sensitive because it's good business.
That was my next question. I mean, when people hear that, industrial park instead
Right.
of industrial district, whatever, they have environmental concerns. So
Of course.
how can you guys address that?
Well, I'm glad that you brought that up
Yes.
because modern manufacturing is environmentally conscious. It's extremely environmentally conscious. And so the FACT district, this Commerce and Technology district for Franklin and Anderson, are going to pursue companies with sustainable initiatives and objectives at their forefront. That's something that the board has put in place. In addition to that, there'll be environmental and historic reviews to ensure no negative impacts on the region. You know, this site is close to active farms. It's close to the KSU Research Farm. Those are valuable and important attributes of Franklin County.
Right.
They are precious resources that must be protected. And so modern construction techniques that require active steps to preserve and protect topsoil quality and maintain watershed, all of those techniques will be employed to make sure that this is an appropriate use, but also, as housing and industrial needs in Kentucky have grown, Kentucky's agricultural resources have shifted, they've changed to really feed America. And we're a part of that. Of course, we grow a lot of corn here, we run a lot of cattle. That is still central to who we are. But there are industrial and housing needs that have also grown. And so we believe that we can take proper steps to mitigate potential impacts on surrounding farms and homes. And that's at the forefront of the plan. That's why this is an advanced planning exercise.
Well, and I was going to say, I mean, I think people often have bad memories of things in the past.
Yes.
Because things were done differently, right?
They were.
I mean, they did not have the technology or the knowledge to be able to say, well, here's how we need to build this to make sure we're not impacting our neighbors or the watershed or any of those things. And it's different now that we have some of that knowledge going into it.
It is, and it's a once-in-a-generation opportunity for Franklin County because the legislature set aside $100 million to help communities do this, to sell Kentucky. And we are the capital city. We want to be part of that. We want to do it in a sustainable way. But we also can't put our head in the sand and say things are going to be like they were in the past. State government employment has been shrinking for the last 30 years. It is a fact. It is a fact. Other types of employment, such as advanced manufacturing, have grown. And that is fueling those occupational taxes. That is fueling your city services. And so we've got to go into this eyes wide open, because if we don't go in and plan responsibly, things will be done to us, not with us, and not by us.
Right.
And there are many examples of that in my lifetime in Franklin County, and I know yours too. So we want to be a part of advanced planning to make sure that this is thoughtful and it's well curated, it's well sold, so that we have some really good partners coming into this community that want to invest in this community, invest in K-State, in these new colleges.
And when they do that, that helps not just them and even the people who have the jobs, but organizations like the plant board.
Absolutely.
Because, we provide those services.
The more customers we have, the better for all of our customers.
The more customers you have, it helps you control and maintain lower costs for the future.
Absolutely.
We have to add users to our utilities.
Sure. So like you talked about wanting to be open to all this stuff, this is the folks' opportunity on Monday to come.
This is one of many opportunities.
Yeah, right.
This is an open house to come and ask your questions. Elected leaders will be there, as well as board members of the organizations, Kentucky Capital Development Corporation, the Franklin Anderson Commerce and Technology District. These are volunteers, and Anderson Forward. And so we invite the public to come out from 4 to 7 to the KSU Research Farm and ask the questions. Here's what I will say. If there's a question that you ask that we can't answer, we will get you the answer. And I think if you ask anyone, if we don't have the answer, we are characterized by getting it for you. Yeah. And there'll be many other opportunities for the public to have comment. There'll be a public hearing as part of the rezone for the planned industrial district. This is in a land use code called planned commercial. So again, we're not rezoning to an industrial park. We're rezoning to say this is our plan. And we want to work together for a quality long-term plan. So this is the first opportunity. It's an open house.
Okay. Is there a website people can go to
there
to learn
is. Thank
more
you for
information?
asking.
Sure.
Yes, you can go to kycapitaldevelopment.com/FACT, FACT, Franklin Anderson Commerce and Technology. It's accessible from the main KCDC website, and you can go right there. There's a Q&A. There is a podcast. There are some fact sheets. And as much information as we can share. You can also learn more about the Kentucky Product Development Initiative. There are many regional projects throughout the state, and you can get information about those.
Okay.
Well, I think it's great that you're doing all that, because a lot of times folks feel like there's just not, you're hearing things and
That's
like,
right.
what's happening? And then all of a sudden it's done and you're like, wait, what?
What?
Right. And so the more you can kind of get an opportunity to say, oh, here's what they're trying to do. And, so I think I'd commend you guys on being open.
Well, we want to provide information. This is our community. It's everyone's community, and we have to work together to improve it. There will always be differing opinions, but I think everybody needs to know that everyone who is working on this project has the very best intentions for Franklin County and Anderson County. That's why they're involved. That's why they're volunteering their time. I'm in a payroll, but I have the best intentions to serve my hometown in the most progressive, long-term way that I can. And I know all the volunteers share that.
Yeah,
So-
sure.
Awesome. Well, Penny, thanks so much for
Thank
taking
you.
the time and for all that you do. And again, everybody can get out on, it's Monday, right?
Monday
At
night,
the
June
Herald Farm.
2nd, 4 to 7,
The Benson
KSU Research Farm. Plenty of parking.
Yeah, it's a great venue.
It is.
It's a wonderful venue. We're so lucky to have it.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, have a great weekend.
Thank you. It's my
Yes.
birthday. I'm
is
very
it?
excited. I was looking forward to celebrating it with Jerry and Ben, but
Okay.
but I'll have to do something else
Okay.
instead.
Well, happy birthday.
Definitely. Well, happy birthday.
Thank you so much.
All right.